Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dax. I'm with a group called Gamer Bros. We've been playing board games for a number of years now, and we love going online and watching the different tutorials and the rules reviews of different board games. This is one of the first board games that we haven't been able to find a great selection of videos on how to play this game, and so we had to go about it the old-fashioned way of actually, really going through the rules, which are poorly worded, and really trying to figure out what it was. And so lots of blogs trying to figure out different areas of the nuances of the games that really just aren't clear within the rules. So I decided to put this together as a helpful tool for those who are trying to learn how to play Shogun because it wasn't available for myself for the gamer group. So this is our first video. I hope you guys like it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is how do you set up the game. So we're going to set up a 4-player game. This is what the setup's going to look like once you get everything laid out. You get all your starting positions, you have all the cards out there, and then you will see this really cool thing called the cube tower, and that's how you're going to resolve your battles. And this is really what a lot of the appeal of this game is around, is this different way of resolving battles not using dice. And it's really cool. And it really adds some random events within the game whenever you think you're going to win, and all of a sudden all your cubes stay within the dice tower, and you have a resounding loss. So it really adds some complexity into the game, and it's a lot of fun not always knowing if you're going to win. We like to play a lot of Game of Thrones, and you can really have a lot of control within that game. In this game, you have much less control other than just the amount of cubes that you're putting into that tower. Okay, so let's dive in here. So we've got the setup of the game here. This is going to allow you to see how we set up the game. So whenever you're playing, you don't have to have all the player mats all on one side. This was just for the ease of taking the photo of the game setup, so you can see how things are and how it'll progress throughout the game. So you can see at the top, you've got this the cube tower, and the cube tower is what all the hype around this game really revolves around. It's a completely different way of resolving battles without using dice, and so we'll talk about that in much more detail. But this is the component of the game that makes it that much different than every other war game that's out there and on the market today. So if we look a little closer at this map here, on the bottom right, you're going to see a symbol. The symbol is going to either be a sun or a moon. Based off of which symbol you choose to play on, you're going to then take out the territory cards that have to do with that side. So you are going to have to look at the deck and remove different cards based on the symbol that you choose. So here's an example of 2 cards. So on the left hand side, you have a card that is only going to have to do with the sun. So if you're playing the moon side, you will take this card out of play. Then you have a card over here to the right that has both symbols, which means that it's in play no matter which side that you're going to have. As a side note, the picture in the background, it does have the picture of the entire map, and then it has the position of this territory. So if you guys are like me and you don't know Japan, this is really helpful because I can't even say half of the names within the regions here, let alone trying to find that. And so this background is really nice to be able to get you into the right area so you can find the territories that you're trying to find. So you're going to place your tall markers on the left-hand side to mark your scoring, and you're going to place your thin marker on the rice track. The rice track is what you're going to use to feed your population during the winter round. Your player board, you're going to set up your player board. You're going to have kind of an auction system in the way that you are going to place your troops. But you're going to have, there's numbers underneath each of these cubes to tell you how many cubes that you're going to put in there. On the bottom of these cards, it has the territories and different values, which we'll go a little bit more into. And then you're going to have 5 bidding cards. These bidding cards will come into play whenever you're going to bid for your special action, which will then in turn make it so that that will be your position in play as well. So you're each going to have a logo card with your color on it that you're going to need as well. Starting conditions: if it's a 4-player game, you're going to need 15 gold chests. The whites are equal to 1, and the orange are equal to 5. So you can see the top here. We've got 15 chests at the top. So you're also going to have a few different types of cards out there. So you need to separate and find all the special cards. On the left hand side, you can see what the back of that card looks like. And then they're going to have different functionalities that it's going to allow you to be able to do special abilities during that particular round. We'll talk about that more in a little bit, but just go ahead and put these at the top left of the board. You'll see where there's 5 different spots. The action cards, these are how we're going to perform the actions and what order we're going to put the actions in. And so you're going to place 5 of these face up underneath the numbers 1 through 5 at the bottom of the board, and then you're going to put 5 of them randomly face down underneath 6 through 10. And that's how the game will start. Your event cards, they need to go down to the bottom left. You have 12 event cards in the box that come with it. You're going to only choose 8 randomly, and then you're going to take those 8 and then split those into 2 groups of 4. And those will consist of your 4 rounds, which will be a year, and you're going to play 2 years, which will consist of a full game. And that's the reason you're going to need 8 cards. Also, on the top of the board, I recommend putting them into some kind of bowl. Go ahead and take out the cardboard pieces. You've got your castle, temple, theater, and then your revolt markers. And we'll explain all those in further detail. Okay, so we've got everything set up. We've got the cube tower up there. We've got your starting conditions. We've got your all the cardboard out, territories up there. We've got the action cards, special cards. So it looks like we got everything going on. We got everyone their money. So we need to prime the tower. And so what you're going to do to prime the tower is each person who's playing is going to give the tower 7 cubes. And we're going to put those all in the basin to start off with. We're then going to add 10 farmers. We're then going to have someone pick those up in one hand and then drop them into the tower. And this is going to give us our starting conditions of the game. So this adds another layer of randomness to the battles. Once they're dropped, you're going to have some that fall out. So the bottom left over here, you can see this. Some fall out. These get returned back to the bank. So these are out of play. The tower's primed. They didn't make it. Also the Vista. So I took the tower top off, and so that way you can kind of see what the tower looks like inside. So you can see that there's areas that the cubes get stuck on, and as you add cubes, they're going to bump the other cubes and jostle them, and so you don't ever know really what cubes are going to come out and which ones are going to get stuck. Cube tower is primed. We're ready to start the game. Alright, so the next topic that we're going to talk about is how do you claim the starting provinces. So we're talking about a 4-player game today. However, one thing that our gaming group couldn't figure out for a long time was what is it with these little countries that have this symbol underneath it? Or is it a capital? We couldn't see anything really all that special about them on a consistent basis. And what I found was that what this means is that when you're playing a 3-player game, these provinces are taken out of the game. And so there's 8 of them that will be removed from the game whenever you're playing a 3-player game. Please note that whenever you're playing a 3-player game, your armies can't even move through these provinces. You have to go around them. Alright, so claiming provinces. This is a good starting condition and how we move through this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to shuffle the province deck. So we've already removed either all the moon or all the sun symbols. That way we have all the territories that are on the showing map. We're then going to determine turn order. The rules say the oldest. You can make up your own rules for whoever's going to go first, and so on and so forth. So you're going to take 2 cards off the top of the deck, and the first player is going to claim one of those 2 provinces. It's their choice. Then they're going to take a group of armies off of their player map. And so it doesn't matter which one you can do. You can put 2 armies there if you don't think this is going to be a great spot for you. Or if there's a lot of valuable goods there, you may put 5 armies there. It's really up to you on how you deploy your armies. But once they're deployed, you cannot pull them off the map. They are there. Alright, so then we'll flip one new card out, and the next person in line will choose one of the 2 showing. And we'll do that so on and so forth until all the territories, all the armies have been deployed on your player mats. Just as a note, you're going to have 9 provinces chosen if it's a 3-player game, and you're going to have, in a 4-player game, you're going to have 8 provinces. And you can see on the left-hand side, that's what we have showing. And so you see this over here, it's got on the far right of this map you see 3 little human shapes, and it has a deployment of 2 value. What's that saying is in a 3-player game you would use that. On the bottom right you have another 2 deployment, and in a 3-player or a 4-player game you'd use that. If you're playing a 5-player game, you wouldn't use either one of those 2 spots. So then you would only have 7 deployments. So I talked about this a little bit before, but on the bottom of your player mat, it gives you all the territories that are in play. And it gives you first the gold value of that territory, the rice value of that territory, and then how many buildings you can build on that. And the buildings is a big part of this game. It allows you to get a lot of different victory points as you move forward. So having territories that you can have lots of buildings on, a max is 3, can be really important. Overall, this game is played in 2 years. Each year consists of 4 rounds. The rounds are spring, summer, fall, and winter. We'll go through how each of these rounds are played out, but just know the 4th round, winter, at the end of that round is a scoring round, and you have to do a few things differently, and we'll talk about that after I explain what a traditional round consists of. So, round overview. First, you're going to randomly lay out your 10 action cards at the bottom. You're then going to randomly lay out the 5 special cards that you're going to bid on. Plan the actions on your player board, including bid for turn order. Then you're going to determine the event card for the round. And then based off of that, you're going to choose your special card. And the way you're going to do this is you're going to turn over the bid that's on your player card, and that will tell you who bids first for that special card. Then you're going to carry out all the actions in order starting left to right with a player that has taken the furthest left spot on the special card row. So let's get a little more deeper into this. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to lay out the action cards. So let's just say we have finished the first round. So we've taken them, we've shuffled them up, we're now randomly putting out 5 face up and 5 face down. We're then going to randomly shuffle up the special cards and put those face up in the 5 spots on the top left of the board. And so what these special cards do for you, and it's only for this one round, is whenever you go for gold, the war chest, you're going to collect 1 extra. Whenever you go for rice, you'll gain 1 extra. There's a deployment option. Typically it gives you 5 armies. With this special card, that means you're going to be able to deploy 6 armies. Whenever you do an attack action, you will then be able to take one of your armies that's in your bank and then place them into the battle. So you're going to get 1 extra cube on any battles that you have. This is a great way of building up your army without having to pay the price. 3 gold chests to deploy troops. And then the same thing with your defense. So if you feel like you're going to get attacked, you get to then put 1 extra unit from your bank into the cube tower whenever you fight. So one thing that I do want to clarify, because we had some deep conversations and around within our group, is the event cards sometimes change what you can do. So an example here is the event card limits the tax that you can collect to a max of 5 chests. But let's say that you were collecting on a province that allows you to have 7. In that case, you'd only be able to collect 5 chests. But the curveball here is, what if you also have the +1 war chest card? So that's your special ability. And the answer is this. You first look at the event card to see what it allows you to do, and then you apply your special ability after that. So in this case, you can collect a max of 5, but you have the +1 war chest, so you then actually get to collect 6. So you're going to plan your individual actions, and so when you're planning your actions, everyone's doing this at the same time, and you're placing the territory that you want to take this action onto the action spot. You can only place 1 card per action, and there's 10 actions available to you. In addition, you also are going to auction for your choice to choose the special cards that we just talked about. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to plan individual actions and then bid for turn order. So everyone at the same time is going to lay down the provinces that they want to take different actions. You can only have 1 action per province, and you can only have 1 province per action. So if I want to build a castle here at the top left, I would then put the province that I want to build that over that. On the bottom left, there's also the auction space. And here, there's auction cards that have gold chests on there. So there's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so here, you're going to bid gold. That way you can resolve who's going to choose the special cards first, which we just talked about. So the order that this goes into is, of course, 4 chests is going to trump everyone, then 3, then 2, then 1. You may take a territory card and bid that, and basically you just can't use that territory that round, or you can bid 0 chests. So a territory trumps 0 chests. So that's the order it goes. If you have multiple people who choose the same bid, so if 2 people choose to bid 0, then you take their player card, so the card that looks like their hero, and put it in the middle. Someone's going to shuffle them up, and then someone's going to randomly pull one out. The one they pull out is going to go first, and the one that's after is going to go later. If there's 3 that's tied, it's the same way it's resolved. Shuffle them up, pull the first one out, first, second, and third. At times, you're not going to want to take the action that's provided. So early on in the game, whenever you're trying to defend and trying to just settle yourself within the province, within the countries that you're in, you may not want to build a castle. Castles are expensive, and so what you'll do there is you'll take the cards that you use for bidding. So let's just say that you bid 0, so you used your 0 bid in the auction space. So you still have 3 other cards available to you. Place one of those cards over that, so that way it's covering that action, and whenever it's that turn to resolve, you're going to show that you didn't choose a province, and so then you have passed for that particular turn. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to set up the event card that's in the bottom left. Everyone gets to see the 4 cards that are going on for that particular year. And so you're going to take those, you're going to shuffle them up, and someone's going to pull one out randomly. And that's going to be the event card for that year. The other ones that have not been used will go under the player board face up, so everyone can see and plan for what may be coming in the future. On the top of the card, it has an event which tells you what is going on special this particular round. So you've got max of 5 gold, a max of 3 food, which could be really bad if you don't have enough to feed. When you build a theater, you get to remove one of the revolt markers. When you fight a empty province, you have to fight 2 farmers. And there's a whole bunch of these event cards out there that have different events that go on. The bottom of these event cards only takes place during winter on the 4th round of year 1 and year 2. And what this does is it tells you how bad your winter's been and how much rice was lost in your storage unit. So your hope is that you have on the far left -0. So ideally you don't lose any rice. But if it comes down to year 3 and you've got -7 and -3 that are potentially going to happen, you may spend some time getting more rice to feed your units in the event that the -7 comes out. If you can't feed your units, really bad things happen, and it can really affect you negatively. And I'll talk about that a little bit deeper as we get into the scoring section on the winter round. The biggest thing for this is choose one randomly, put it in there, and then have the other ones that haven't been used below. Okay, now let's talk about how the bids have affected this next phase. So you've now done your bids. You now know who is bidding first and second, third, and fourth. So the first player is going to look up at the special cards, and they're going to find out, okay, which card is going to benefit me most this round? Am I attacking? Am I defending? Do I need gold? Do I need rice? Or do I need more troops out there? Which can happen quite often. These cards are shuffled and randomly put out there, so there's not a correspondence that comes here each and every time. So the card that you want may be to the far right. So if you think you're going to get attacked, you're pretty sure of it, and so you want the +1 army whenever you get attacked. That's going to put you in the last turn position, the last player position, when you resolve your actions. So what I mean by that is there's two things to look at here. One, what is the card that you think is going to be most valuable to you as a special card? The second is, where do you want to be in the turn order? If you're attacking, you're going to want to be earlier, because if someone attacks you before you can attack, then that makes your card null and void if you lose. So first player would be the farthest left, second player, and so on and so forth. In the bottom here you can see an example where in a 3-player game, 2 of the cards weren't chosen. So they were just taken out of that round, and so you just skip where that card is, and so you'd have your first player, second player, and third player. Alright, so now you're going to carry out your actions. So you've got your player board set up, your cards are down, and now we need to perform our actions. Each action card has a corresponding action to what's on your player board, and you always can see you always can see the next 5 cards. We resolve who's going to be building. Once everyone has built, we're going to remove that card from play. We then will turn over the next card, which is the 6th card, and have that face up. So you're always going to see 5 cards, so you can at least do some strategic planning, but there's still an unknown on what's happening. Once you've done all 10 actions, that resolves the entire round, and you will then shuffle everything up and lay it all down, and then that'll consist of a new turn. You're going to choose a new event card. You're going to go through all this once again. Another note here is, if you have a territory card on the action, you do not have a choice. You must resolve that action. What could happen here is you may not want to build that temple. You thought the temple maybe wouldn't have shown up earlier. So you put a player card there, and you're hoping in one of these hidden chests it was going to give you a gold, which would replenish your gold supply. Well, if you have to spend all your money building troops or building the buildings before your gold gets replenished, you then have to resolve the action. You have to pay the price for whatever you put on there, and then in the future, if you can't pay for a future action, you then have to pass on that action. So if you can play and can afford it, you have to play. You don't have an option of skipping. Same thing with battles. You may have gotten attacked, which maybe reduced your troops to 3 troops in your province. Well, you may not then want to attack because you don't feel like you're very strong anymore. You do not have a choice. You have to make either an attack action or a movement action if you have a territory on that. So the one rule there is that you have to leave at least one force behind. So if you have 1 force, then you can't do anything. So you either have to attack somebody, or if you've got an adjacent province that's yours, you can then move some troops over to there, and that would also resolve that attack move card. Alright, 4th round winner. So we've already played the first 3 rounds. We've lined up the 4th round. We've played through it. So what do we do now? The first thing we do is we look at the supply track to see how much rice you have. You have to pay 1 rice per each of the province that you own. If your rice supply shows, let's say, 10, and then you lose 3 supplies because of the event card here shown, so you only have 7, and you've got 10 provinces that you own. You've got the 10 province cards in your hand. You are at a deficit of 3. So what you're going to do is you're going to spread out all the provinces in your hand, and someone is going to choose 2 of those province cards. You will then automatically have a revolt, and the revolt is going to show here on this chart. So if I've got 2, that means I've got 2 green cubes I have to fight in that province, and then if there's any revolt tokens in that province as well, I also add those. So if, let's say that I've also got 1 green, I've got 1 revolt going on in that province currently. So I've got to go 3 cubes versus whatever army is in that province, and that's how that's resolved. So you can do that for each of the territories, and you can see not being able to pay is not a good thing here. And you really are testing your luck on the cube tower. So after all the revolts have been resolved, you then will get 1 victory point for each province that you own. Yes, in the rules it looks like -1. It's fairly confusing there. Then you get 1 victory point for each building that you have. So for every building that you control, you get 1 victory point. The board consists of multiple colored regions, and so it's very easy to find what those regions are. Whoever has the most castles in that region will get 3 points. Whoever has the most temples will get 2, and whoever has the most theaters will get 1. If 2 or more players tie on any of these, you then take the victory point. So let's say that you and I tie for the number of castles. We will both get 2 points because you take -1 off of what the total is. If you tie on theaters, then nobody gets any points. We then move these up on our scoring track on the player board. So how does the game end? So you have 4 rounds, then you've had to feed everyone, you scored. Then you do 4 more rounds, you feed everyone, and then you score, and that's the game. And so a lot of this is really trying to protect the territories you have, trying to expand the territories you have, and then trying not to gather all these revolts within your territories as you're trying to feed and get gold, and so you can do your different actions. Let's get to the fun stuff here. So how do you resolve the battles? So we've got this awesome cube tower. How do we use this guy? So first, let me point out a rule that really caught us off guard because we've been playing it wrong. So you don't just use the cubes that are part of the battle. So what we were doing is we were taking, if it was a red versus blue, we only take the red and blue cubes out of the tray when we were resolving battles. However, over here, and it's actually kind of bolded within the rules, it says all cubes in the tray, regardless if they are in the battle or not, are always thrown back into the tower at the time of battle. So only resolve the cubes that are in the battle when they fall into the tray. So just a rule clarification here, which we were playing wrong, which I'm sure there's many others that are playing this wrong. And to be honest, a lot of the videos that I found, there weren't a lot of them, but the ones that I did find, it seemed like everyone was playing this particular rule wrong. So let's talk about player versus player. How do you resolve this battle? So first question we have to ask ourselves is, are there any revolt markers? The reason we ask this is because if there's not, then the green cubes that fall out of the cube tower are going to defend with you. Not only that, they're going to defend first. So the casualties that will come out will be first the green casualties, and then once those are all used, then they'll come to the defender's casualties. So this can be really nice, especially if you've got quite a bit of green cubes that are in the tower themselves. So let's go through here. So are there any revolt markers? So if the answer is yes, then you're going to take all of the attacking forces and all the defending forces, and look to make sure that you don't have any special abilities or the season's events aren't going to affect this battle. So, for instance, if you're defending and you've got the defender card, you get an extra cube. If you're an attacker and you've got the attack special card, you get an extra cube. You will then put those cubes into the tower, and then you're going to remove all the losses. So you're going to if there's a blue cube and a red cube, you then take those out. And then you will leave any green armies that come in the tray because you have a revolt marker, and so they are not helping you. So they're going to help the next person in line. But if you don't have a revolt marker in your province that's being attacked, then what will happen is whenever you resolve the battle, you're first going to kill off those greens, like I said before. If any green armies, in the unlikely event the greens actually conquer the attackers for you, if there's any green left over, those go back into the bank or the supply. And then all your troops will then go back to your province. So, do you have any troops left? The answer is yes. Then those go into the province. If there aren't any troops, if you guys kill each other off, then all the revolt markers will go back to the bank, and all the buildings will also decay and die, and those will go back into the bank as well. So it's kind of a big deal. If you attack and you and the defending folks both end up in a stalemate, and there's 3 buildings on that province, they all get removed off the board. So that's something to think about as you're attacking and as you're defending. So when you're resolving player versus an empty province, what you do is you take 1 green army, unless the special event card tells you differently. There is a special event card that will tell you to add 2 green armies when you're attacking an empty province. But let's just go with the most typical scenario. Take 1 green army, take your attackers, take the 1 green army, put it into the dice or the cube tower, and then resolve the battle. So if any additional greens come out from the cube tower, you resolve all those, and then you have to ask a question if you've got any forces left. If the answer is yes, place those forces. If the answer is no, then you're going to remove any revolt tokens and any buildings that are on that. So the reality, if you're going against an empty province, you're not going to have any of that stuff on there anyways. Okay, how do we resolve a revolt? We've talked about these revolt tokens. We've alluded to them, but what actually happens in this scenario? So first question we have to ask is it winner? So for now, let's just say no. This is a traditional revolt. You have either taken their rice or you've taxed them, and they are just mad at you. A revolt happens whenever the second revolt marker is applied to that province. So you can collect your rice from them one time, or you can get tax them once for one time. And as long as there's only 1 revolt marker on there, it doesn't matter. But as soon as you take that second action on them, as soon as you tax them or raid them for rice, that's when they're going to get mad and they're going to revolt. So, just like in our previous battle, you're going to take 1 green army for each of the revolt tokens, take your defending forces, and you are going to put them in the Q tower. Look at the season event, make sure nothing is affecting it, and also look at your special cards. If you've got a defensive card, it gives you 1 extra cube. Go ahead and add that cube, put it into the dice tower, and let's see what comes out. You remove, you then will resolve that battle, and if for some reason you lose and there's more green armies that are left in the tray, those come out of the game. Those go back into the bank. If you do have forces, then you're going to leave them on the province or put them back into the province. If you own that province, the revolt was successful and they killed off your last army. You then will remove all the revolt markers and any buildings that were built on that province. Keep in mind that you do collect your tax and your rice prior to these events, to the battle. So no matter what, you always will get your spoils. So it is not dependent on your win or loss. So let's talk about action cards and how they apply to the game. As we talked about it previously in your player board, it has 10 actions that match up to the 10 action cards that are lining the bottom of the board. So the first thing I want to talk about is the buildings. So the first thing is you have 3 types of buildings. So you've got the castle, temple, and the theater. Castles cost 3 gold, temples are 2, and theaters are 1. You get 1 point for each building that you build during the scoring section, and then you get a bonus point if you have the most of one of these types of buildings in a region. If you look at the territory card, these are the cards that you would have in your hand. It has a few different things. What we care about in this section is the number of buildings that you can build. So in this particular province, you can actually build 3 buildings. You got to keep a close eye on that because not all of these, and very rarely actually, can you build 3 buildings in the same province. Now, also, you cannot build the same building in the province. So you have to have, for this specific territory card or province card, you could build a castle, temple, and a theater, but you couldn't build 2 of the same. So let's talk about the resource management portion of this game, it's a cool little attribute in this game that makes it so that it's not like Risk or some of the other pure war games. If you're taking over different provinces, you have to then feed them. So it limits how far you can expand and how quickly you can expand if you're not able then to maintain that with rice. So the first thing is rice. So you've got to be able to feed during your winter round, the 4th round. You got to feed all your territories 1 rice, and then you also have to take into consideration the event card and what the bottom of that event card says, and if it's -7 rice or if it's -2 rice, you've got to take that into consideration because that's how many rice you're going to lose off of your supply over the winter. So you're not just safe by having it in your supply, you're going to lose some more than likely because of the event card. On the card itself, you're going to see where it has rice proceeds, and you're going to see how much rice you would get. So if you were to play this province on the rice, you would only get 2 rice when you collect. You would then have to put a revolt token on this province, and that would be your turn. Whenever you collect tax, this is again a resource management. In order to build, in order to take actions, in order to get more troops, you have to have gold in order to do all these actions. So this is the second part of it being a resource management game. You then would look at the province, and you would see this is 6 gold. 6 is quite well in this game. That's quite a bit. And so this is what you probably be using this province for, is for your gold supply. And so when you collect taxes, you'd collect 6 immediately. You then would put down a revolt token. If it's your first time collecting tax or getting rice, then it's a freebie. You just put that revolt token down. But the next time that you collect taxes or collect the rice, you would then have a revolt on your hands, and you'd have to go through the battle in order to maintain that province. Keep in mind, whenever you confiscate that rice, to immediately adjust your supply track to reflect the collection of that rice. So this is how you get new troops into the game. And so, again, talking about that resource management portion of it, in order to get new troops, you have to have the resources. So you're going to have to be taxing your provinces in order to maintain a steady stream of income. Also, just as a footnote, whenever you are collecting your taxes, make sure that it's a province that's not going to get attacked and that you're going to lose. If you get attacked and you end up losing the province that you're going to attack, it's really going to set you back in the game, and the reality is you're probably not going to win the game just because of that turn. Because this is such a resource-intense game, losing an income of 6 chess is a big deal. And so make sure that whenever you're collecting your taxes that you have it in a safe spot, and you do not have fear that it's going to be taken over. Alright, so deploying troops. You're going to put a province over this action on your player card, and whenever it turns over, you're going to then pay 3 gold chests, and you're going to be able to deploy 5 of your troops onto your player board. That will go onto the province that you have. There is no limit to the amount of troops you can have in one province. You have a lower action here where you deploy 3 armies for the cost of 2 gold. And this one is your deploy and move. So this is a nice way of doing a non-aggressive move. So in your attack cards, you can attack or move. Here you get to add 1 cube to this territory, and then you can move as many of those cubes as you want to a neighboring friendly territory that you own. You always have to leave 1 cube behind. You can't ever just completely evacuate a territory. But this allows you to it's a good way of doing some movements, and sometimes you can kind of do a movement into a territory and then use that next territory to attack. So you can kind of, if you can kind of plan your turn to make sure you have the maximum troops whenever you're attacking. So within your actions, you're going to have attack A and attack B. And all this means is when the action card's out, it's going to indicate attack A or attack B. And so they're randomly put out on the action row. So sometimes attack B will be before attack A. So this is just a differentiator so you know which card to use. So you can attack a neighbor. So you can move your troops in and attack a neighbor whenever you have this. Or you can do a friendly move. So you can move your troops into a territory you already own. Again, you always leave 1 of your troops behind. You have to do a movement. So you can't, for instance, get attacked here and you've got 3 troops left and then just choose not to when it's your turn to attack. You then have to attack a neighbor or move it to a friendly area next door. So you do not have a choice. You always have to make this action. There's no pass. Also in the map, there's dotted lines, similar to what you've seen probably in Risk and different things like that, where those are adjacent. So there's no boats, there's nothing like that in this game. So you can attack one province that is attached through a dotted line to the next province, and so you also can do that. So that's a quick overview of how to play Shogun, the rules within Shogun, and the inner workings of Shogun. So hopefully this makes your first gameplay of the game a lot easier. You know how to set it up now. You know the rules. You know what the cards mean. Please leave your feedback if you have any questions or recommendations. If you see anything that's wrong within the video, please let me know. I try to follow the rules as specific as I could. I also looked up a lot of forums whenever I had questions on the rules, and I used what was generally viewed as the correct answer. So there are some really poorly written areas within this rule book, and so please let me know if you see anything that I've done wrong here, and hopefully for all of you who are viewing this, this is helpful to you. Again, the reason I'm making this video is because there was nothing out there that helped me learn this game, and this is how I like to learn games. So thanks again for your time, and looking forward to the next video. I'm going to do a video on actually the first playthrough, so the first round of the game, and then also I'll show the winner on how to do that. So this will be a follow-up video so that you've got the rules in one, and then you can actually see the game played in a second.